Hi everybody, this is Spring, the fiber enthusiast. I'm coming to you today with a knitting stitch pattern tutorial. Today's knitted stitch pattern tutorial is called the grid stitch. And I'm using just your basic 4-weight yarn and a couple of standard DPNs. That is the correct size for this yarn. As you can see why it's called the grid stitch, I actually have it sitting on a contrasting color to help show. But we have these knit stitches like a knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one. And then we have this line of knitted stitches, garter stitch, and then we go back into our knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one, and then another round of garter stitch. So sorry for bumping the camera. This could be a reversible pattern. It's slightly different, but as you can see, you still have your knitted rows and purl rows. They're just the opposite of the other side because a purl is a reverse knit. So if you look at the back side of a knit stitch, it looks like a purl stitch. So it really could be used either way. Obviously, this looks better. It is the front side. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to move the contrasting color out of the way so that way we can get going on this. As far as what I have on my needles for my swatch, you need to cast on multiples of 2 plus your salvage edge if you're doing a flat panel. So you'll need how many ever for your border stitches, salvage edge stitches. So your multiples is 2 plus 1 on each side for a salvage stitch. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. I have cast on a total of 20 stitches. If you need to know how to cast on, I have videos showing how to cast on 3 different ways. All of the links for the beginner knitting videos will be at the end of this video. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is after you cast on, you're going to want to knit a row. So we're going to act as if this row that I'm getting ready to knit is our very first row. So you're just going to knit all the way across every stitch. I think this is a pretty fun pattern too, because it gives like a different style to your knit one, purl one ribbing for like the top of a sock or the bottom of a hat. It kind of gives it some different character instead of just plain old 1x1 ribbing. Okay, now let's begin row 1. We're always going to knit our outside salvage stitches. That gives it a garter look or a garter edge And what that does is keep it from curling as bad. Of course, the more garter stitches you have on the outside, the less curling you'll have. Okay, so let's knit the first stitch, and then you're simply going to knit one, purl one, all the way across. Knit one, purl one, 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 slide that stitch marker over and knit that last stitch. And now row 2. Row 2, you're going to knit your selvage edge, as always. Slide your stitch marker. And now's the fun part. You are going to work the stitch as they appear. So if it's a knit, you knit it. If there's a purl bump, you purl it. Just a quick hint, once you get those first 2, you know what the rest of the row is, because it's alternating knits and purls. So our last stitch was a purl, knit, purl, knit, and purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, and purl, and then knit that last selvage edge stitch like that. Turn your work over, and then the last 2 rows of this 4-row repeat is very, very simple. You're just going to knit the next 2 rows, all stitches. So I'm going to move you up a little bit so I can work a little bit faster. Knit and slip the stitch markers as you come to them. Just simply knit every single stitch. This is another one of those patterns that would be easy to work in the round. You could easily transform this into a pattern that works in the round because of the knit and purl stitches. Okay, that is row 3. Gonna do row 4. Again, it is just knitting. And once you have finished the end of row 4, you start again with row 1. Row 1, knitting your selvage edge, and then knit the first stitch, purl the next stitch, and continue repeating that pattern. The row 2 is you just knit and purl what you see, knit the stitches or work the stitches as they appear. So if it appears to be a knit stitch, you knit it, and if it appears to be a purl stitch, you purl it. Almost took that off the other end. Too used to working with circulars. Okay, so here we have our grid stitch knitting pattern. I really, really, really like this. It seems just, I don't know, it seems classy. It's got some texture to it. There's so many things I could make with this stitch. What do you think? I'm thinking turning it into a hat, or I mean, that would be really nice and thick for even like small bags or even sweater. It'd be cool for a scarf. There's all kinds of things you could do with this stitch pattern. Very, very neat pattern. What would you do with it? Give me some other ideas down in the comment section. I'd love to hear what your ideas would be. I've got all kinds of things running through my head right now as to what I could make with that pattern. I think I'm going to say look forward to a stitch tutorial on something to do with this pattern coming up soon. I really like that. Okay, so that is it for now. It is a simple 4-row repeat. And cast on in multiples of 2, plus your salvage edge stitches. And repeat those same 4 rows over and over again until you have a project that you want. Until the next time, be blessed and be a blessing. That's it for now. Bye, everyone.